Hi, Tash and Romy, it's Lawrence here. Yeah, after a hard day, I get into my car and music is pumping, and I want to ask myself, what are you waiting for? Enjoy the music. Take care, guys. Have an amazing evening. I'm rocking in the car here. Take care. God bless. Bye bye.
A big thank you to you, Lawrence November. Thank you so much for that voice note. What are you waiting for? Warm welcome to the CCFM Drive with Natasha and Romeo. Gave you amazing music there. The likes of Danny Goki. Haven't seen it yet. Absolutely good. For King and Country, featuring Gregaton on that one. It's an extended version. It's titled, What Are We Waiting For? After that, we gave you Hillsong, Young and Free. Just Jesus, and last but not least, Mercy Me coming through as well with A Little Love, featuring Gary on that track. Taking us to 16:25 Central African Time. It's time for Talk Time with Tina.
Ja, nee, kyk, whoever said gospel music is boring, I don't know where they got it from, but that was beautiful. And even if you're feeling down, listen, like Lauren said, what are you waiting for? It absolutely elevates one's mood. But yes, super excited, of course. Every Tuesday, right here on the CCFM Drive, we talk about real issues that are not often discussed at the coffee table or the dinner table or what have you. And so this Tuesday, the 23rd of July, we are touching, or rather continuing the conversation around mental health, anxiety, and depression. And so today's focus is purely on how the effect, or the impact rather, that mental health not only has on the person that is sort of diagnosed, for lack of a better word, but also the generic impact as a family. So whether you know someone, maybe your husband or your wife or your daughter or your son, maybe even a close family friend. And so that's the conversation that we're having this afternoon. And we invite you to join in on the conversation, as always, on our WhatsApp line, as well as Facebook and YouTube under CCFM 107.5.
A very interesting topic, casualties of mental health. I'd love to find out from Talk Time with Tina how she came about this topic and unpack that. But just before we dive into that, a very good afternoon to you and warm welcome once again.
Good afternoon, Romeo, Natasha, CCFM listeners. Thank you for having me again. You know, aren't you duck of me yet?
Never that. And also want to ask you, just before we dive into this conversation, how are you feeling, lady? It's a Tuesday. How's been the week?
The week is a bit rocky. Yesterday, my son was home. We sent him to school today, so he seems fine. And now my daughter is not well, so I think she might be home tomorrow. So the week is a bit up and down, but we carry on. We move. We try and work there behind the scenes. Yesterday at past 6 in the morning, mommy. Yes, so that was my day, but he's doing better, so I am very, very, very happy.
And we pray for patience.
Yeah,
because I get it.
When they say pray for patience, and the Lord must now send you situations where you can then practice those patience. So I guess I'm still learning.
Oh man,
I absolutely love the comments that have already come through as well, as saying that they love the topic of the day. They can't wait for this conversation to happen, and we hope it will land, and
Yes.
it will find you, and you will be able to apply this conversation that we're going to be having this afternoon. If you too would love to have your say, send us a voice note as well on 0617981075, or even a text message if you can, just to share your thoughts around the dinner table.
absolutely. And of course, also, perhaps you don't want to disclose your name. That's absolutely
Yes,
fine.
absolutely.
You are more than welcome to keep it at anonymous. And of course, you can share your experience. As mentioned, we're diving into the impact that mental health has on the whole family. And as I've mentioned, maybe it's even a close friend, not direct family. But let us know your experience, 0617981075. Tina, diving straight into it, I want to touch on exactly that, the generic or general impact, that mental health really has on the family.
Absolutely. So before we start, I just want to say that we are not here. We by no means are attacking anyone that has mental health or had mental health issues. We're not here to put any shame or guilt or blame or anything like that. So please, when you listen to the conversation, don't feel bad for the person that went through something. We just want to stand still and acknowledge that there are people on the outskirts that gets affected by things.
Yeah.
So, for example, even if someone is physically ill in the home, it affects, like serious physical illness. It affects everybody. If someone is on drugs in the house, it affects everybody. So we're not attacking people that has mental health. We just want to stand still and acknowledge those who has to carry sometimes the load on behalf of the family member that is going through the situation. And you mentioned the name casualty. So I was thinking like, oh, casualty of mental health sounds so dramatic. But when I looked at the definition, one of the definitions of a casualty is a person or a thing that is affected by an event or a situation. So those are the family members, the co-workers, the friends, the people on the outskirts. I just wanted to say, I see you. I know what it can feel like sometimes to carry that burden. So the first thing is, how does it impact? So in the family, I think the first thing it impacts is the role within the family. So for example, let's say an older brother always got the younger brother dressed in the morning. The older brother made the porridge. The older brother took the younger brother to school, and now he falls ill, mentally ill. That younger brother now is maybe 6 or 7. His older brother is no longer there. And I don't mean he passed away, but he's no longer there. So now that changes the dynamic of that sibling relationship. If a parent, for example, suffers from mental illness, now maybe the child needs to now take care of the parent. So the roles within the family dynamic changes because it needs to for that time. It can also put strain on relationships. So maybe between a husband and a wife, between children. So maybe if your sibling is the one suffering, you might feel that your parents are now giving more attention to the one child and not to you, so you feel some type of way. The relationship between a parent and a child, because now the child has to grow up overnight to now maybe take care of this parent, so that can put strain on the relationship. I was also thinking about communication, because sometimes you're so scared to say the wrong thing. You don't want to trigger the person. So now it's like you're walking on eggshells because you don't want to make the situation worse. So communication kind of almost falls flat. You don't want there to be misunderstandings. You just don't want to say the wrong thing. It also affects people emotionally. So sometimes when the person who is suffering from mental illness, we know that their health is a priority, right? But sometimes you as a family member, you also feel hurt, you feel angry, you maybe feel that this is unfair. And a lot of times how you feel gets ignored in that moment, and that can add stress to your life. If you the person who is caring for the person who's mentally ill, you can feel emotionally fatigued because you always have to encourage, you always have to be the one that's pumping in. So then your tank is a bit empty on the emotional side. Sometimes if you the family member, if you say you're feeling a certain way, the other person might feel like you're being selfish, because how dare you say how you feel, if this is about me,
Right.
but it's also affecting the other family members. It also impacts a family financially, because you want to get help for this person. So if you maybe don't have medical aid or things like that, you now need to pay for this person to get well. Or maybe the person who suffers from mental illness, maybe they were the breadwinner, or maybe they own their own business and now that income is out of the house. So it affects a family financially as well. And then the last one I want to mention is sometimes they call it social isolation. So sometimes people want to withdraw. Family members rather withdraw. They don't want to go to family functions anymore. Or sometimes family don't want to come around to the house anymore. So it can really impact a family in all, and I'm sure there's many ways. And I just want to say again, we are not out here attacking the person who is sick. We see you, we hear you, but the people on the outskirts are also like saying, oh my gosh, I'm seeing my mother in this way. I've never seen my mother this way before. What on earth am I supposed to do with that? I'm seeing my brother, my father, my boyfriend, my husband. You feel helpless in a way. You don't know what you are supposed to do. How must you care for this person? And it can take a big strain, a big knock on a family.
Sure.
Absolutely.
We're getting some messages as well coming through, and some voice notes. Please do keep sending them. In a moment, we will have an opportunity to play them. I want to encourage you as well, and also mention that we are live on Facebook. We see your messages asking if we are on Facebook. Yes, we are live on Facebook. So you can also hop onto Facebook, to catch the conversation live.
Absolutely. And so, that being said, we might have to also just go on to a song or two,
Yes.
just to obviously, have a listen to the voice notes. Again, like Romeo said, I just want to echo his words. You may have had an experience, in fact, also echoing Tina's words. We're not necessarily, disregarding the
Yes.
person that is ill, but we also want to today just focus on those that have been affected. There are many ways that it changes the family dynamic. There are many sort of after effects
Yes.
that come with it. And so 061 798 1075. I want to go to the second question, Tina. Now, we already touched on the fact that it could be various family members,
Yes.
it could be a co-worker,
Mm.
but I want to ask you, what would you say those affected could do going forward
Yes.
to, I suppose, better manage themselves,
Mm.
their mental health,
Mm.
in the role that they play?
So the first thing I want to say is, unlike people who go and study to be caregivers, or they go and they upskill themselves to be caregivers, we, or the family members, we don't have training, so you become a carer by default,
Yeah.
unexpectedly and suddenly, and now you're sitting with a task that you've got no experience for. So the first thing I want to say is, give yourself some grace. You are not going to know what to do immediately. You're not going to have all the right answers, and you're not supposed to have all the right answers because it's the first time that you are faced with a situation like this. So give yourself some grace. Then, depending also on what type of mental illness, the start can be a bit rocky because it's almost like a trial and error type of vibe. You're trying to see what is going to work, right? So, does a person need meds? If so, what meds? The meds that were prescribed, did they work the first time? Did they not work the first time? Did they have to go on different types of meds? Must the person maybe go into a clinic? Is it an inpatient clinic or is it an outpatient clinic? Do they go see a doctor? What type of doctor do they go see? So there's all these things that you are faced with that you're not going to have all the answers for, and that is okay. The other thing I want to say is, it's not one of those come on, pull yourself together situations. You can do this. It's a long journey. I'm not saying don't give encouraging words, but it's not going to be an overnight
Yeah.
thing necessarily. It is a long journey that you need to be prepared for once you faced with it. I know husbands like to fix things. Ne? So this is sometimes that situation where the husband might feel helpless because they can't fix it. And that's okay. You are not a trained medical doctor or something like that. So if you don't have the answer, it is fine. But then it leads me to the next point. Educate yourself now. Now that you've got the diagnosis, now that you know what it is, go and read up about it. Go and see what other pathways of that person getting better are there, so that you know the language that you must speak. This person is probably going to see a counselor or of some sort. Speak to the counselor of what is it that you get to do at home to help navigate this person through the situation. Seek help. Oh my gosh, you cannot carry this load alone. I was watching something earlier today, and this mother was talking about how her son was diagnosed with schizophrenia. So you don't wake up tomorrow and then know how to deal with schizophrenia. You don't.
Yeah.
So go and ask for help so that someone can guide you as to what you need to do. And something that you mentioned, Natasha, you have to take care of yourself. What we sometimes do is we dive deep in because we want to help this person, but then we forget about ourselves because we feel like it's selfish. But at the end of the day, you can have burnout if you are not finding those moments. If you just go and breathe.
Yeah.
So if the person is at the doctor maybe for an hour, what can you do to fill your cup in that moment? If the person is sleeping, during the day they're taking a nap, what can you do to fill your soul? It's not selfish to look after yourself, because the better you look after yourself, the more you can then help that other person. Yes, I think that's all I want to say there.
I love that there's practicality to
Yes.
everything that you've mentioned.
I've got one more question that I'd love to dive into, but before that, I think we're going to take a quick break. Thank you so much for the
Awesome.
voice notes that you keep sending through. We're going to get to them in a bit. 0617981075. That's the number. Going to pay a quick bill, and also Peace of Mind. That's the jazz song that we're just going to be playing. Straight after that, we're going to come in and continue with Talk Time with Tina.
DL candidate will also be responsible for all management administrative work. Send your detailed CV to felicity@ccfm.org.za with the subject line PA. The closing date for all applications is Friday, 26 July 2024. For more information, visit our social media pages.
Let's spark possibilities with Buco. We have top quality electrical products designed to power up your build. From cables and wires, wall switches and sockets, to light fittings, globes, and so much more. And when the lights are out, visit us for alternative energy products. Get to your nearest Buco and electrify possibilities. Buco, let's build together. Buco. Bringing joy to your journey home. This is the CCFM Drive with Natasha and Romeo.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Beautiful music. Norman Brown. It's titled Peace of Mind. So absolutely fitting given the conversation that we're talking about. Speaking of the conversation, now we have a number of voice notes to get into. If you have just tuned in, we have Mrs. Tina Cupido, Talk Time with Tina, chatting today about the impact, or the general impact rather, that mental health has on not just our families, but also our friends, our co-workers, and those that are dear to us. And of course, ask you to join in on the conversation, your experience. Like I said, it's conversations that we don't generally have at the dinner table. If anything, I think we tiptoe around it.
Yes.
And so I think there's such a need to bring such conversations to light. Venus, thank you so much for your voice note. This is what she has to say.
Good afternoon. My name is Venus. I've got passion for the brain. So the topic that is presented this afternoon, I want to say thank you. Why I say thank you is because there's so much stigmatization within the family, within the community, within our lives. That is the reason, or one of the reasons why people who go through clinical anxiety and clinical depression don't want to come forth and say, listen, I have a problem. So I just want to salute the presenters for actually speaking out, coming out and taking their time to talk about such a topic, because it is the mind that affects the brain, that affects your entire body. And we don't realize, as we speak about the heart and the lungs and the bones and all other organs, we can speak about our mind and our brain too. So I am an advocate for just the topic you are speaking about. Thank you.
Thanks so much to Venus. And then Faye also coming through. This is what she has to say.
Hello everyone.
Hi.
So just from a psychological standpoint, a family is like a system, and however that family functions, whether it's functional or dysfunctional, it's still a system where every part of that system plays a particular role. And when one person in that system is affected by something, whether it's mental illness or addiction, or is battling to go through something, the entire system is affected and impacted, and often goes unnoticed.
So good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Keep your messages coming 061 798 1075.
I am really loving today's topic, guys. Thank you for talking about those who are impacted by those who struggle with mental health. And I'm someone that battled with addiction for a long time. And if I didn't have the support of my family, I might not have come out of it okay. And the family members that soldiered around me needed support and often doesn't know where to go to get that support, or doesn't even really know that they need support. Sometimes all families know is that they've got to soldier together to help and support someone that needs it without knowing that they need some kind of support for themselves. So I'm really, really excited to hear today's topic.
Which actually leads us so well, Tina, with the last question.
Yeah.
Collectively, how can all the parties involved, the person suffering with the mental illness, as well as the caregiver or the individual that stays with the person in the household, how can we all navigate this journey together to ensure, a successful mental health wellness of the well-being?
Yeah, thank you for the voice notes, guys. It was amazing. So I just want to touch on everything is a system, as Faye said. And sometimes we are disillusioned that a system is going to run smoothly all the time. And when there's a hiccup, then it's like we don't know what to do because our expectation was that it was going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sometimes it skips 5 and goes all the way to 100, and now you need to deal with it. So for me, the number one thing that a family has to do is talk about it. This is not something that you can push under the rug and that you hope is going to go away. It's not going to go away. Um, Sometimes what parents do, or what we as adults do, if something like this happens, right, it affects the whole household. But maybe if it's happening to one of the parents, the adults will go like, oh no, this is an issue between mom and dad. It's not about the children, but it affects the children. So the
Yeah.
parents need to understand that even though it's the adults that are navigating the situation, it is still affecting the kids. So they almost have the right to be spoken to about what is happening. um so the first thing, talk about it. They can see something is happening. The second thing is, I want people to know that how they feel is okay. So if they feel hurt that their parent is now not who they used to be, they can feel that way. They're not a bad person for wanting their mom to be how the mom was, or the dad to be, or the husband, or whatever. So it's almost like they need to mourn the loss of the person that was until that person gets the help that they need so that they can come back again. Because there's a period where you're not going to have that person in the capacity that you were used to before. So feel that loss and mourn that loss. If kids feel angry, allow them to feel angry. Allow them the space to say how they feel without them feeling attacked
Yeah.
because they feel that way. The third thing I want to say is, sometimes teenagers don't know how to deal with things and they will rather go to their friends or they will go somewhere else because it's better than being in the house. So my advice to parents is, try and find a way to make the home safe again or comfortable for the child to want to rather be there and deal with the situation together. And then we mentioned earlier on, speak to a counselor, because that the people who are the support also need support, like Faye said. So they also need someone to talk to in an open manner with no judgment, to say, this is what I'm feeling. How can I feel better about this? And then how can I help my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, my wife, whomever it is that needs my help at that moment. Yeah, I just want to end off, because we Christians, of course, we need to pray about these things. We cannot leave God out of the situation. This is a situation where it is dependable on us to hold on to that hem, even if it's just the hem of his garment.
Yeah.
You cannot in this time let go of God because you go like, oh no, it's mental health. It was so beautiful what Venus said, talk about the bones and the lungs. And if you think about the body, we are an entire body, all the way from the head to the pinky toe and all the organs on the inside. So God doesn't say, oh, I'll only help you if your arm is broken. He will help you even if your mind and your heart is broken in that period. So don't throw God away. Don't throw the Bible away. Don't throw prayer away. Don't throw Christian friends away. And that stigma that they spoke about, I'm so irritated by it by now, honestly, if I can just speak freely. Because it's like, come on, guys. We are in 2024. And if by now, if you are still equating mental health to faith, as a person don't have faith, then I want to say, let's grow up, man, if I can say that nicely. Because if your arm is broken, you don't go like, oh, where's your faith? No, you go put on your plaster of Paris and you heal the 6 weeks, however long it takes. So there's nothing wrong with your faith. just allow God to help you in that time. Your heart is broken, your mind is broken. It can be restored because God can restore all things.
Yeah.
So don't throw him away. Come together as a family, like face it, it's the system that is now got a glitch that we need to work around, and then the system can run again.
Absolutely. I could not have said it better. Thank you so much, Mrs. Cupido, for your wisdom and, of course, your shared experience. And we've got a few more messages coming through. I don't know how many we can get into just because of time, but this one is from Jade Peterson.
Saying, hi there, I'm a Christian clinical psychologist, and I just want to thank you for this topic. God cares for every single aspect of ourselves. We go to the medical doctor so easily for physical ailments, but the brain can also become ill.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I love that she said Christian clinical. So I go like, is she not following the Lord because she studied psychology or whatever? It's so weird what we think as Christians sometimes, how we put God in a box. I don't know. It's funny. Sorry.
I love this message from Donovan as well. Donovan Fortain saying, good afternoon, Natasha and Romeo. It's such a blessing to listen to CCFM every day from morning till evening. Fortunately, I have the privilege in doing so. I'm looking after my son, who was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, which is a movement disorder that usually happens because of damage to or disruption in development of brain areas responsible for muscle control. He cannot walk, speak, or do anything for himself. We wash, dress, and feed him. What a joy to be around him and taking care of him. There is just that bond that we have. I praise God every day for making it possible that I can be with him. He is like an angel sent from heaven. He is a whopping 31 years this year.
What a beautiful perspective, eh? Gosh, beautiful story.
Absolutely. Shanti, also, of course, you can have a look at Facebook and YouTube. Anything we don't read out or play, we'll, of course, have a look at post the news or as we proceed with the program. Again, just to emphasize, if you've missed this conversation and you want to listen to it again, have a look at our social media. That's Facebook as well as YouTube, CCFM 1075. It is there. You can play it anytime you want to. You can share the link. You can repost to your friends and family members. And speaking about reposting and connecting all over, we've got Bernadette Clark Kent, who's listening or rather watching all the way from the UK, saying, thank you. I love the conversation. With that, Mrs. Cupido, bye donkey.
Plaisir. Is that beautiful?
And how can Mrs. Cupido we catch you in terms of perhaps we have further questions we'd love to ask or just attend any workshops or sessions that you have? How do we do that? What's the best platform?
Thank you, Romeo, for mentioning that. So we are Cupido Consulting on all social media platforms. But on Monday, we are running our Clarity in Action workshop. So we still have some spots left. Last week, people asked for my email address. We sent them the email address. So you can just contact me, Tina, at cupidoconsulting.co.za. If you miss my email address, the best thing you can do is just DM me on any, if it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Cupido Consulting on absolutely every single platform. Clarity in Action is going to help you understand your thoughts, your mindsets, your limiting beliefs, your relationship with change, and we will help move you forward. Monday the 29th, 7:30, online in your pajamas with your coffee.
There's no excuse to miss
No, there is not.
Or blaming the weather.
No.
Oh, there you have it. We've got Victor Thompson up next with Dependable God. It takes us to the news at 5.